we're going to be talking about the SWAT and how to make your SWAT overpowered. In particular, I've compiled a lot of research, a lot of playtime into this type of class, and I've become competent enough to kind of tell you guys how you guys should probably run your SWAT for beginners. Mainly this is going to be touching upon specs for the character. Usually I won't make a part 2 to most of these. I'll make at least 3. Actually, I take that back. I'll make at least 3 parts for each one. And I'll make additional parts for DLC weapons that revolve around the characters, just to show how they can come into play, different builds with them, loadouts, sort of thing. But for the most part, this gun I'm using right here, the Chris Vector, is going to be primarily what you're going to want to use. You know, this does a lot of damage. It melts Zeds rather fast. You know, you have a lot of movement speed as a SWAT. Considerably that you have weapons that don't take up a lot of your movement speed, like SMGs. So see, SWAT is all about movement, man. Gotta keep moving. You turn around and you sprint backwards and shoot. So anyway, my build for this is heavy armor training. And I'm using the heavy armor training, which essentially, while you have body armor, the only damage, you only take health damage from supersonic attacks, and clots can't grab you. That's very useful if you have tactical armor. And you begin each game with about 50% armor. Okay, that's really not that bad. Beginning each game with 50% armor, granted, is a decent start to how to survive, because now that means that at the very beginning of the game, the clots can't grab you at the very beginning, which gives you a lot of flexibility and gives you a lot of momentum and a lot of possibilities and a lot of opportunities to switch the situation over. You know, having no movement speed for ADSing is cool, but it's kind of a bit gimmicky. Anyway, down to assault techniques. You're going to be running both of these. For the first round, you're going to be running close quarters combat training. And you're going to primarily just stick to the dual-wielded pistols and your melee weapon. You're going to save your MP7 ammo, sell your second dual-wielded pistol, and also sell your MP7 round 1. Round 2, you're just going to go into it. Actually, no, you're not going to sell your MP7, you're going to keep it. And then you're going to sell it the next round during round 3. Pre-stage round 3, which is the pod section of the game where you have 30 seconds to resupply. Then after round 1 into round 2, you're going to get tactical reloading. It increases your reload speed with all perks. That is very helpful, especially with weapons like SMGs, because you're constantly reloading. And by the way, you're constantly getting higher ammo capacities. Each passive level, so to speak, as you guys can see here, it increases my max size by 100%. That is a big fat weapon, you know, that's a lot of magazine capacity. That's double the capacity. So if I got a gun that holds 30 rounds, it now holds 60 rounds. So I'm having these fat mags. And by the way, a lot of fire rate too. Very fast firing guns. You're constantly reloading. So having faster reload speed, granted, is very amazing. And with these very fat magazines, you're constantly shooting and then you're reloading extremely fast, and that's another fat mag out. You know, for me, that's 70 rounds, possibly even 100 rounds in some guns. That's very impressive. to have that kind of capacity. It keeps your DPS, your damage per second, up because you're constantly dealing damage. And then your reload speed is, you're reloading that magazine, that 100% plus mag, right up in there, and you're ready to just dish it back out. And that is just overpowered. I can't emphasize that. Now, down here, you get ammo vest or suspension rounds. Suspension rounds increase your stumbling power by 100% with all perk weapons. That can be useful, but this can carry up to 30% more ammo for each perk weapon. Being able to hold more ammo is a lot more useful in the long run. Being able to have that, because you're going to be burning and eating through mags like that fast. And it's just insane. Anyway, go down to defense techniques. Multiple hits with perk weapons, slow down Zeds, and slow down by 30%. Head and weak spot shots apply twice as fast. That's okay. Crippling is pretty good at keeping Zeds at bay, but that's only useful if they're walking down a long corridor. In most cases, there's never that many scenarios where they're going to really hold a point like that. Kind of gimmicky, kind of like tactical movement. But you're going to go for assault armor, which increases your amount of armor by 50%, and you begin the game with about 50% armor. Combined with this, you have about 100% armor. So starting the game with a 50% armor, plus another 50% armor, you're starting out the game with 100% armor. That's overpowered. Now here, this is really up to you. I primarily choose Z time Rapid Assault because it gives you infinite ammo while on Z time. That just allows you to just nail off a shitload of DPS, especially if you only have 3 rounds left in the mag. And that's infinite ammo just spraying. So that DPS definitely gets up there. So it's really up to you depending on how you want to partake that. So that's what I run. So let's go ahead and let's go back and begin the game over. And I'm going to show you guys quite how we start off a game. So that way you get kind of an idea of what to do. Go to your close combat training. Go down to play a match solo. Any map you want, depending on what difficulty you want to play. For today, we're going to pick hard or normal. It doesn't matter. I will pick normal. This is really for noobs. Let's say you're already level 5. So, or let's say you're max level. I don't know. I don't care. Anyway. One thing I kind of wish is that, well, it's kind of irrelevant now. Okay, as you guys will see, I now have 2 pistols instead of 1. So this is exactly what I'm going to end up using. I took no damage our entire round. I'm still at 100, which is good. Now that we have proven that we can take a lot of heat, we're going to go ahead and sell one of these for some extra dosh. So that we start off at our almost capping. We're capping off at about almost, actually exactly 600 dosh. Now you can then simply sell this and go ahead and buy yourself one of these 2 weapons, which should, granted, get you a lot of money. However, that's not what we're going to do. Instead, what we're going to do is save up our money. By the way, please, I highly intend for you to pick up any weapons you may find at random. Alright, now you have about 2,000 and you should have just enough to buy a Chris. As well as max ammo. And you should be ready to face the next boss. Leave all of these Zeds. Try to train. Tip out here. After you've done cheesed him, you should be able to resupply your ammo. We don't have much money left, so spend it mostly sparingly. Anyway, your next big purchase should be aimed primarily toward this. You won't have much room left to really freely spend, I guess.
Ready, folks?
Hang on. I like the Tommy gun. Whenever the game throws these little challenges at you, I'm pretty sure they pay you extra for beating them. Man, this Thompson sure does do a lot of damage, the Tommy gun. In fact, it does a shitload of damage.
Money. My dad got him thermostat shit.
Move it, idiot. Get some gear, ammo, all those things that help you not die.
So yeah, the Tommy gun may do more damage than the Chris Vector, but still, we're running out of space for our weight. If only we had 2 more pounds worth of weight, we'd be able to fully upgrade the Thompson. But dude, this thing is OP. I'm about to show you why.
charging your armor battery. The trainer pod design is not terrible. Horsey did okay with this.
Yeah, guys, the Thompson here is just wonderful, man. It came out around Christmas of, I believe, last year. No, 2 years ago. Must have been. But ever since, this thing has just been a badass, man.
Any second now. Wave 9.
Who wants money? Solo!
You know what gun would be really nice for this game? For the meta, would be a PPSH. 100-round magazine with the fire rate of a Chris Vector, and with a high ammo rate of a Chris Vector. With the fact that it just doesn't have the advantages of a Chris Vector, being that the Chris Vector has less recoil, and yeah, I think a PPSH would fit nicely into the game. It would pair right with a Tommy gun, with the high capacity mags being up to 100 rounds, but the fire rate being that of a Chris Vector, maybe a little bit more, and maybe the damage would be more, but there wouldn't be the sight that the Chris Vector has. Because if you guys remember, this Chris Vector has a reflex sight. PPSH will not. I think a PPSH would be good for this game. It would be a really good contender to the meta for SWAT. And to be honest, if they do make a... How much does this weigh? 6 pounds? What if they make this weigh 5 pounds, but increase the price by maybe 325? Or maybe 300 dosh plus? I mean, that would be a very expensive gun. Maybe they should add more accuracy and far less recoil. You know, doesn't have much. And then make the PPSH have more damage and actually have some penetration. It would be a very cool meta for this, you know. And I guess it would be kind of cool if they were able to make it be upgraded twice to make it far surpass the Chris Vector, but at the same time cost a lot more weight, limiting your overall options. Maybe make it weigh at max 9 pounds, kind of like this. That's just my thought. I don't know. I'm not gonna. You know, the PPSH, definitely a fast-firing SMG. Kind of cool if it had slightly less fire rate than the Chris Vector, maybe by like 30 rounds less per minute. But remember, the Chris Vector shoots about like 2,000 rounds per minute, so 30 rounds less, then that wouldn't be much of a difference at all. Though, to be honest with you guys, the Thompson is a really good SMG for either SWAT or assault. As the assault rifle, or as the assault class, you'll probably get far less ammo out of it, out of the base magazine capacity, which limits its DPS, but you'll get the highest raw damage, which would also make it far more, you know, better. So it's kind of like whatever. Man. You know what, man? I would really like it if the developers add a little buff to all the weapons. You guys are thinking, Fallon, what the fuck are you talking about? Or SM, what the fuck are you talking about? What if they decide to add that every time you upgrade a weapon, it increases its overall magazine, or not magazine capacity, but its overall ammo ammo capacity, you know, the 425. What if they boost that by 125 per upgrade? See, I upgraded this thing how many times? 3 times. I would have a heap load of ammo to use, and it rightfully so, because it, you know, it cost me money, or maybe at least 50 round extra, you know, to spare. Would be somewhat decent and comparable, especially for extremely high rounds with, you know, 6 players or whatever. It would only make it far better for the entire team if that were the case. Because then upgrading weapons has a whole nother meaning. Huh. You may be like, well, why did you do that? Well, in some ways, you know,
Don't mind if I do.
Mike is acting up, bro. Okay. But anyway.
Closing soon. Hurry up so you can die.
Alright guys, how about this? 710, 500, 400, that's basically 1,000 something rounds worth of ammo.
Out of that area.
Right, here comes the asshole legs.
They lower the Chris's weight to at least 7. I think this weapon can seriously prove useful in most builds.
Don't break your arm. Pile yourself on the deck.
He's got a target. Show it off. You know me now, don't you? Well, hello. I'm bloody invincible with this. I'll take it. I'll show that.
This area remains mostly secure. Is Hans helping you somehow? Is this some sort of prank? You're not this good.
That's the Boston 88 Crown Hall. Didn't like that, did you? Come on.
If I thought that was anything but love, they would be impressed. Area remains secure.
MP5 proves to be one of a very superior group of SMGs, so we're going to fully upgrade it.
Harsh language isn't enough. Get more ammo.
So we mostly ended up using this thing.
It's like an abattoir here.
I wish that for these top tier weapons like the Chris, you can upgrade it twice, but the second cost would be 2,500, and basically have already invested like almost 5,000 dash into the weapon, and for that it should end up getting a big fat ammo pool. Like I said, upgrading should add ammo into your, ammo pool, at least about 100 rounds per upgrade. That way, you have more ammo to work with, more ammo to dump out for these more badass weapons, Alright.
This was a family offense. Had to stick your noses in. Running away won't save.
I hate playing
The
those.
human body is hard. Do I look concerned? You're out. We don't understand each other. This may result in electronic Excuse me, while I disappear. Where do you come from?
Kick you yourself. You're not. You're a bug. Prepare to be squashed.
The MP5 just does that work. I killed the entire matriarch without even running out of ammo for this thing. But the Chris, this thing is just god tier.
That's glad it's not my blood.
You know holes in your armor are bad, right? Keep using the pod. I'll see if I can get your fingers stuck in it. They wrecked me. And you. Well, those. Protect the area. If you can.
The MP5 just doesn't work, bro. In a live session, I do not recommend picking such a weak weapon. I'd pick something like the Tommy gun. But to be honest with you guys, I would really focus on weapons that have very large ammo pools. Mainly due to the fact that you have more flexibility with them. You're more likely going to run it. I've been finding that in live matches at round 40, in the 40s, we're starting to just run out of ammo for all our weapons here. So it's really important that you guys also fully upgrade your pistol. And if possible, get it dual wielded. Because, the badassery with that. I'll try to get a fully upgraded pistol for one. Mainly because the starting pistol definitely needs to be upgraded. Fully upgraded Chris Vector looks like this. That's a lot of damage. And by the way, mind you, this shit is intensely. Please take note from a pro, which is myself. Like I said, at later rounds you will start to run out of ammo. Very noticeable. And on hard difficulties, your ammo rates are definitely terrible. Always try to find these ammo crates, always keep moving. Never stick to one particular spot, because then you guys are just holding out. Holding out is only a matter of time until you guys run out of ammo. And believe me, when you're still at 15 more Zeds to kill and you only have but your knife, it's not fun at all. Especially when you have to work with like 5 other guys. Because now everyone's all worried about, you know, getting through it, and with a larger group like that, the Zeds are definitely going to be harder to kill, and melee becomes less of a viable option at these higher rounds. So do note that for sure. By the way, we forgot to add our tactical reload, which is something we should have done a long time ago, by the way. As you can see, without tactical reload, we're still able to get these pretty swift, slick reloads. I think after this round, we're going to go back to using the Tommy gun. Though we have a lot more overall ammo. In total, I'd say we probably have upwards of 1,000 something rounds. Let's calculate it, shall we? Chris Vector has 644 ammos on tap. This has 499. And this has 416, plus 80 rounds in the mag, plus 66 rounds in the mag, and plus 64 rounds in the mag. So we're looking at roughly about 1,200 something rounds, and that's a lot of ammo to work with. But that's at the cost of 3 weapons, one of which fully upgraded, the other 2 aren't even upgraded at all. As you two dudes, I said as you two dudes, but as you dudes clearly saw, I was able to handle most of that with just the MP5. But when selling these two, buying a normal Chris Vector, and to all extent, being able to buy another higher end weapon, like per se, I don't know, maybe this. I'm gonna buy that Tommy gun again. For upgrading it. Reload speed's a lot faster. So we're gonna ice this entire wave. I feel kind of like almost discussing my thoughts for dummies or noobs to this game. So the video would probably be called, you know, Killing Floor Working with Teams for Dummies. And I would go over kind of like, I don't know, kind of like my thoughts and opinions, tips and tricks to how to be a contributing player while also being a good player and at the same time able to survive by oneself. Because remember, the 5 keys to survival and a successful team in this game is player viability. You guys gotta be viable to any scenario thrown toward you. It's no joke when I say that this game has a lot of fuck shit in it. And indeed so. You guys will get cornered, there will be 60,000 Zeds in your face. But you guys gotta be able to survive like that by yourself. Secondly, you guys probably want a good team medic, or at least another player with a medic weapon, especially due to the fact that the medic's weapons are very team-oriented. You know, every class has their own particular medic weapon. It can be doubled as healing, but a good medic is definitely one of the major keys to survivability, to get your health up so that you're constantly killing and staying alive. Even though you may only have your weapon bash or a melee weapon, that's still something to fend for. A minor tip, have a fully upgraded pistol. You know, I've gone over this before. It may not be the best gun in the game, it doesn't have to be. But definitely having a final last resort option being much more viable, especially if it's a fully upgraded, makes it far more viable at later rounds. Now, yeah, you only get how many rounds from it? 90 rounds in total, which is less than 100. I was going to tell everybody you guys should probably buy a katana each. But whilst that does seem like a waste, when you run out of ammo, a good katana to melee through lighter Zeds, definitely to conserve on ammo. Definitely a smart idea, but the game already gives every class their own melee weapon. I'll demonstrate the strength of this pistol this upcoming round, just to show you guys that fully upgrading this pistol is definitely a choice for pros. This thing's really good at stunning Zeds, and it's really good for contributing. Even if you have nothing else to work with, at least it's a lot better than having your own fists. Besides, another great team player thing is having a good support. A support can mean all the difference. It means you have someone that welds doors for you, someone to hold choke points and to create more dynamic points of interest. It also means that you also have a way to resupply ammo and grenades. Anyway, The support's really overpowered. I'm pretty sure the support doesn't supply grenades. I'm pretty sure that's demolitionist, but you know, I know the support definitely helps give players ammo. You just have to go up to there and get a nice resupply. Having that resupply available on tap is definitely the key to your survival. And what's another thing that helped make a great team? You know, to be honest with you guys, I truly think a good demolitionist is what makes a good team. And the reason I say demolitionist is because demolitionists are really good at taking care of the trash enemies, they're good at taking care of big enemies, hordes. They're the chaos control that you really do need to be able Huh, that's so strange, my controller died. But back to what I said, they're the real chaos control that you really do need to use to control and reduce the amount of chaos all happening at once. And believe me, later game there will be a lot of chaos happening. And it's just something to consider, especially if you guys are trying to be serious about playing Killing Floor 2. A good demolitionist could, let's go through some of its skills, shall we? You have high reload speeds for RPGs, so you can spam explosives all over the damn place pretty much. That's very useful, especially for opening up and widening up crowds, dispersing enemies. Shrapnel can knock down enemies, and it overall reduces threat levels by a tremendous amount. And this is really good, especially for separating enemies in tight groups. You know, and having a good support at the same time to be able to provide enough ammo for a demolitionist to spam is definitely amazing. And having a good medic keeping both of their healths up to date is definitely important. Anyway, sonic resistant rounds basically make his explosives immune to the sirens, which is pretty overpowered. To be able to, sirens help destroy your ability to disperse crowds with explosives, which is very, very pesky because explosives are the way to destroy crowds. Having this effect being disabled is definitely overpowered and can prove extremely useful in tight and later scenarios, even early scenarios, depending on the difficulty. Proceeding down to armor piercing rounds, direct hits will deal a shitload of damage. This is good for taking out big, heavier Zeds, or the concussive rounds will also help weaken down crowds and be far more efficient at dispersing trash. You know, but if you have a good firebug, trash zombies won't be much of an issue. And then of course you have the Destroy of Worlds in Dead Time and the Mad Bomber, your choice. Anyway guys, I think that's going to be about it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.